gentlemen, and my often forgotten, but most certainly not by me, Canadian patio heaters. The way that we deal with the snow and ice in the Arctic. Welcome to the show. Tonight we're out on the range. We're here in the dark. We're getting ahead of the winter content up here in the frozen north. And we're gonna kick it off this year by talking about light. Obviously, when you're talking about light, it helps for it to be dark out. And because of the time of year, that means that we can go ahead and do this. Now, the patio heaters are a pretty useful item tonight because it's minus 20 Celsius with wind chills down to minus 30. And without some form of heat, we would probably survive. But the batteries for all the equipment we're going to talk about would have a real struggle. And that's point one. Right? All equipment that takes batteries can fail in the elements. And the cold is no joke. The cold does that to lights, lasers, anything that takes a CR123 or the new versions which have the 18650. But what better time and place than out in the freezing cold dark to test some of these things for real, right? Maybe put them through their paces. We're not going to pour any cold water on these things tonight or put them in an ice bath, but we will see what they can do. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at some scout lights and some X300s. These are products by Surefire. If you don't know who Surefire is, you probably don't own a flashlight. Surefire is probably the biggest name in weapon lights and flashlights on the planet. Obviously, there's some people chasing at their heels, but Surefire is a big one. We sell Surefire products on the website, and we use them in real life. Surefire's just come out this year with their new Turbo series, and the first iteration of that is on their X300 handgun light. It takes the standard X300 1,000 lumen floodlight for your regular size pistol, and it turns it into just a punchy ball of light that just reaches out there. We really expect it to be able to get all the way out. I don't know if this will make it in from the last cutscene, but we have targets all the way up to 200 meters, 50, 75, 100, 150, and 2. We've got a Ron Jeremy at 200 also, so there will be a target that we can PID. We have some pistols, and for the internet people who are concerned about such things, A, there's no people around. Okay, we're good. And B, all these guns are empty. You can see that there's empty places where all the cool parts of the guns go. All right, so don't worry about that too much. So let's talk a little bit about what we got. X300, this is the X300's Ultra. That's the regular X300 that anyone who's done anything with these will be used to. On this gun, that's an X300 Turbo. In fact, you'll see they look very similar. The difference is in the beam pattern. On this gun, we have a Surefire Scoutlight. This is an M640 dual fuel. On this gun, we have a Surefire Scoutlight. This is an M640 dual fuel Pro. This is mounted on here so that we can test to see how far out we can actually see through a scope. We expect to be able to get all the way out, but worthwhile test. Same thing on the rifle here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and shine these downrange, see what we can ID, see how far we can locate targets, and yeah, let's get into it. All right, so first off, your standard X300 Ultra, okay, 1,000 lumen weapon light, one Glock 19. All right, so 50 meters right there. The 50 is well illuminated, that's no problem. 75, I can just make out that it says 75. That's a 7 above the 5. And then, well, there's snow in the way now. This is what happens when you film in wintertime. There it goes, and yeah, no, I wouldn't say that I can see the 100. So it drops off at about 100. Obviously, we're in cold conditions, so this may not be performing to its maximum effect. All right, next up we have the X300 Turbo, and functionally it's exactly the same as the X300 Ultra. Everything works exactly the same. It's on a Glock 19 too, and let's see what we can see. Oh yeah, look at that beam. That thing is tight. 50, easy, no problem. Moving over, 75, that's no problem. Let's go over to the 100. Huh, I can actually see it. And then I can see the 150 target. I'm not gonna lie, I'm having a little trouble reading the 150. I can tell that the numbers are there, okay, or the letters I should say. But the snow blowing around here in the wind is giving me some trouble with PID. So I can see it because I know it's there. Again, it's cold out, and so that thing might not be operating to its optimum performance, but inside 50 meters, no problem. So that's great. All right, so after a very non-scientific test, it's pretty obvious that the new turbo really gets after and pushes that light out there. Couple things to consider, because you might be thinking, well, why would you even want the Ultra after this? Indoors, I think you'll find that if you shine this at walls as you're moving through a space, that the backsplash in your eyes might be a bit of a problem. So there's that. But out of doors, I can't imagine how this would not be superior to this, right? So depending on your use case. The other thing that's worth mentioning is photonic barriers, right? And that is if you're having, let's call it a flashlight fight, where someone is shining a bright light at you.
Headlights.
Yeah, headlights from vehicles. That's a great call. If someone's shining a bright light at you, if you have a more powerful light or a more concentrated light, you could pierce that, what's called a veiling glare. So let's just illustrate this. This is our standard X300 Ultra at 25 meters, okay? There it is, and you could see that target stand. Now let's just see which one of these puts out a better light. Okay, there so this one's on, and now this one. So if you were to get into a flashlight fight with someone, I don't recommend it, but photonic barriers, this one takes the cake. These Ultras from Surefire were developed to be able to punch through the windows on vehicles or into buildings to be able to see what was going on inside them. And, you know, by all accounts, they do it very well. Further testing is required on these, but as of right now, it's a phenomenal light. It's more expensive than the traditional X300 Ultra. So if you decide you don't need to spend the extra money, you might take it a step down and go with what's been proven. But if you really want something that kicks ass, it's a good option. All right, so we've talked about the X300 Ultra and the X300 Turbo. Next up, we're going to have a little look at the M640 dual fuel. And for that, we're going to take our Canadian compliant Tavor. Okay, so it's 556. It's got the M640 dual fuel scout light on it. Man, this cold is messing with my ability to formulate words. I like the cold in the winter time, but every year, the first cold, like the first time it dips down below -20, there's always an acclimatization period. I'll be good for the rest of the winter, but this part is always the first part. Anyways, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna test this out. Now, before I do, it's worth mentioning that yes, this light does not exceed this barrel, and so some of the light might shine through the barrel. That is a real thing, I understand that. We'll work with what we've got. All right, so let's see if we can see the 50. I can see the 50 in the scope, that's no problem. It's not very bright. Uh-oh, let's see what we got. I can see the 75. Yep, that's no problem. Let's go back, see if we can find that 100. Yeah, if I spend a little bit of time on it, I can find that 100 too. But let's go to that 150 back there. Nothing. Okay. These lights should be able to illuminate out to 150. Obviously, we have wintertime effects happening, and I've got blowing snow out there. So what do we learn from that? In the wintertime, with particulates in the air, light has a hard time doing what we expect it to do. So it's a good point. Another point that I would add to this is rifles don't always have to have rifle lights on them. Now, Surefire has said that they have a turbo version of this on the way, but it hasn't arrived yet. It's an interesting thought if your firearm has a Picatinny rail, to think about potentially mounting one of these X300 turbos onto your rifle. Surefire makes a back plate for these where it'll just hook up to your standard switch pad, and you might get a much shorter little light that is going to have some punch. Also, some people run around with personal defense weapons, little short little guns, or their pistols inside of things like micro Ronis or Aeon Defense, Flux Capacitor, Blackmaster 5000s, you know, those little tiny things. A pistol light like this might do really good. So overall, I'm a big fan of this X300 Turbo. We're already big fans of the Scout Lights. We've been using them for quite some time. And I'm not surprised that they don't work particularly great in the cold. I mean, it's minus 20. Most of the batteries around here don't work well beyond minus 10 Celsius, maybe minus 15. So we have to pay attention to that. So yeah, it's a quick test on these Scout Lights. And the next thing that I want to do is I want to take this bolt action rifle that I've got one of those Scout Lights mounted to, and I've got a fixed 12 power scope on here, an SWFA Super Sniper. We're going to see what we can get for range and ability to clearly discern out to 250, maybe 300 with this light. We'll really put it to its test next, and we'll try to film through the scope so that you folks can have a little look and see what you could hope to get. Stick with us. All right, so last thing we're gonna do, we tried filming through this thing to see if we could show you what it would look like through this. Negative on that one. But what we're gonna do is I'm gonna look through this 12 power scope. We're gonna see what usable light we have. Like we mentioned before, we've got an M640 attached to this bolt gun. We expect 100 meters is no problem. We expect 200 meters is gonna be a bit of a challenge. All right, so that's what we're gonna do first. Just in natural light, I can't see anything, so that's what I expected. Let's turn this on. I'm gonna start at 50. 50 is no problem. 75, easy day. Oh yeah, there's my 100. So that's still no problem. Now let's see if we can reach up to 200. Oof. Yeah, so the light, okay, so I can see the 200, and these, I think, what's the font size on these numbers you printed?
1,000.
Yeah, okay. So this is a font size of 1,000. You can go ahead and figure out what you think that means. They're big. I can see the 200, but the Ron Jeremy beside I cannot PID. What we're going to do next is we are going to add in the X300 Turbo from off camera. Fire that out there. Let's see if that changes. Oh, wow. All right, that's no problem. Yeah, 200, no problem. There's a Ron Jeremy target with a Macaulay Culkin. Yeah, so that makes it really easy. Now, hold that on there, and I'm going to turn off this M640. All right, so it was contributing a little bit, but I can still PID. I can still see. I can't see his hands, frankly. I can see the outline of the Ron Jeremy. I can see 200, no problem. So if we add this in, yeah, now I can see everything. All right, so that is a Surefire X300 pistol light, or X300 Turbo pistol light, and a M640 Dual Fuel Pro. Both had full battery when we started this, but as we've mentioned a couple times, it's minus 20 to minus 30 out here, and that really plays havoc. Also, I've got blowing snow. I've got winds gusting to 40, 45 kilometers an hour. Inside of 100 meters in these conditions, any one of these lights gets it done. This X300 Ultra, really inside of 50 meters, but the other two, good to go for 100 meters. So that's going to be the data that you're getting out of this test. We're going to leave it up to you to decide what your use case is, which one of these is appropriate for you. Obviously, we have these available on the web store at iridiumsolutions.ca. Hope you enjoyed this like I said, we're just getting started. This winter, we're gonna do some cool things. So remember, get outside, get training, keep getting after it. First of all, let's just recognize my friend John Willis at SOE Tactical Gear, who makes badass stuff for badass things in badass places. We've currently got some friends in America who are doing disaster relief work. They're loosely related to this sort of thing, okay? I'm talking about Refuge Medical, my friend Bear from Bear Independent, and Grindstone Ministries. Now they're out fixing a place in Oklahoma from a tornado. And they spun up their disaster relief efforts within about 7 hours of that tornado hitting. And they're out there doing cool shit. I posted earlier about the ways that we're helping out and the ways that you have available to you. So I'll just plainly say, like, all these Surefire lights are all for sale on my website. If you decide to buy one for the next 2 weeks, 10% of that light's going to go to Grindstone Ministries to help them in their disaster relief efforts. That's going to real people to do real things. So, and if you want to send, all of whatever that money is to them, Grindstone Ministries, at Grindstone Ministries on Instagram, www.grindstoneministries.com. I've sent money to them also. I think what they're doing is really cool. If you want to learn more about these lights, more than Surefire's website can tell you, send me a message. Let's have a chat about them. I'm not a flashlight expert, but I do know some people who know some things, and I'd be happy to get you whatever information you need.